Here, okay, so here we go. So we are starting in chapter 4, lesson 2, page 414, and we're on step number 1. We're opening 4.4, so Control O to open that. We're gonna go and open this really quick. Sun, Photoshop CS5, data files, chapter 4, and they tell us to open 4.4. They want you to zoom in, really zoom into this. So I'm gonna Control 0 this, because basically I want to see the whole thing here. They want you to use the elliptical marquee tool, which is under the marquee tool. You can Shift M your tool to switch to the elliptical one. And this is where it is. So top left of my screen here we have rectangular, elliptical. Okay. Anyways, we're going to make sure that this is the modifier in the options bar here. This is important and you have to pay attention to this. What you choose, the different modes of the selection tool, affect your selection. They have new selection, they have adding to the selection, subtracting to the selection, and intersection selection. So these modifiers, they actually, if you have the wrong one clicked, your tool is going to behave differently. In this case, we're going to look at all of them eventually, but in this case here, you want to make sure that you're on the first one, which the selection that you're creating is a brand new one. Anyways, we're going to go to the 150 by 150x 50y. So, do I have a ruler on my screen? No. Control R to display the ruler. Is this in pixels? Probably not. It looks too big. Right click on this, change to pixels. Boom. Okay, Control R. Right click on the ruler and change that to the unit of measure that you need. We're going to go to 150 on X, so about here. And then 50Y, again, origin point being top left. I'm going to go downwards here. So let me see, 150 to 50. Bless you. It's about here. You can see my little tick mark here. And then I'm going to drag to 400x, so 400x, I can see my tick mark up there on the X, and downwards to 250. Again, this doesn't need to be exact, but it helps if it's close. 400, okay, I'm about here. Boom. My selection is not exactly on top of what I want. Obviously, I want you to select the bowl, but they're teaching you to use the elliptical marquee. So anyways, we're going to move the position of pointer, and by the way, I am not changing this to the move tool at this point, even though the pointer on the instructions look like a triangle. This is still the marquee tool. The thing of it is when you move it over an active selection, it changes that to move selection pointer. It moves to a pointer. So now you can actually click and drag and move the pointer so that the marquee covers the casserole. And look at figure 15 for a guide. It's faster. Basically, you want to click and drag selection and move downwards like this. Okay? Something like that. Doesn't need to be perfect. But they're showing you that their selections, they're not static. Selections in Photoshop are very flexible. You can actually move them and reshape them, add to them, subtract to them, all kinds of crazy stuff. Any problems? Anybody issues? Seeing none, hear none. We move forward. We're going to go now to the Magic Wand tool on step number 6. And the Magic Wand tool is going to be under this little brush looking thing. Shortcut key is W. And is under the quick selection tool. Magic Wand. Boom. We're going to make sure that the tolerance of this thing here is set to 16. And make sure anti-alias is selected and contiguous checkbox is also checked. We're going to click on select, and we're going to choose similar. Now this is something interesting happened here. Your selection changed shape, and you didn't even need to do anything to the tool at this point. Under the Magic Wand tool, the property of the Magic Wand tool is so that you can click on pixels of similar tonality, and you automatically try to select all the pixels nearby within the tolerance of similar tonality. But you didn't click on the image anywhere, did you? So what happened here was interesting, is that you made an initial selection with the marquee tool, elliptical marquee, that covered part of the bowl, and the selection was on top of a range of pixels that were a certain tonality. Then you went to the Magic Wand tool, you changed some settings, you changed the tolerance and some options here. You went to select and you clicked on similar, which is under the category grow. Okay, so what that does is it uses some characteristics of the Magic Wand tool to reshape, and in this case grow, your selection to include pixels of similar tonality within this tolerance under the Magic Wand tool. So you use two tools here to accomplish this selection, and now you can see that the outline of the selection is better than what it was before. It went from a circle to something that is actually pretty close to what we want. Not perfect yet. We still have some problems. We're going to go on step number 8. You're going to go to anything that deals with selections is going to be under the select menu bar. Okay? And in this case here, we're going to actually modify and expand the selection. We want to make it bigger all around. And it's going to ask us by how much. And in this case, we're going to expand the selection by 1 pixel. Click OK. You're going to notice that there's a slight increase of the area of the selection. And then you're going to click deselect, which is Control D for short, or you can go to select, deselect. But I always use Control D, so just remember that shortcut. It's something that you use all the time. Control D to deselect. Done. Any questions? No problems? Hearing none, seeing none? Move on. We're going to go to the quick selection tool, which is above the Magic Wand tool. And then we're going to adjust our settings according to figure 16, which is we're going to, let's see here, the size of the brush is going to be 10. And by the way, you don't have to type in px, pixels, on the unit of measure, okay, it's just assumed. So change that to 10. Make sure the first one is a new selection. Make sure that all the check boxes are deselected. And I'm done. I can click on this down arrow again to put that away. And then we're going to position the pointer at the center of the casserole and then slowly drag to the outer edges until the whole object is selected as figure 17. So this one's actually supposed to give us a better selection. So I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to go around encompassing the bow, and this is pretty darn good for me at this point. Boom. Oh, I have missed a little spot here in the middle. Boom, click on that. Done. I'm not using any keyboard modifier at this point. Problems? Quick selection tool is fairly easy to use, and it does a pretty good job. This is another way of creating the selection. The first one, we use the elliptical marquee in conjunction with the quick Magic Wand. Okay? Selection was not as good because there were some unselected areas here. Now we're actually using the quick selection tool to do that. Oh shoot, I have to have the kitchen image open. So let me open the kitchen. And I don't have my open, so mine is on the desktop. Yours is on the S drive. Where's mine? Kitchen table. So I have my kitchen table here. I'm going to use the move tool, and I'm supposed to drag the casserole onto the kitchen table image. Boom, let go. We're going to defringe the casserole. Oh, I'm sorry. Drag the casserole so it's to the left of the napkins. Napkins to the left. Something like this. I'm using the image as a guide here. So I'm about here. Boom. And I'll defringe this again. The book's starting to assume that you know where the fringing is. Where's the fringing? Is under image. Oh, I'm sorry, layer, matting, the fringe. You should know that. And what does the fringe do? It gets rid of that little glow edge around a selection that had some selection like that. So it's basically contracting your image by 1 pixel, whatever many pixels you put in here. In this case here, they just want 1, so click on OK. Okay, so I see a slight improvement of my outline, and apparently you know, I still have some white here, but we're not worried about that. They are telling me to rename my layer into the layer where the casserole is into casserole. And I'm supposed to save my work, Control S. And then close for 4. Do not save any changes, you won't be able to. Any questions? And do that. The next step here, we are jumping onto lesson 3. And we're going to make the color selection, selection by color range. We're going to have to open 4.5 for this one, so Control O. I'm going to go to recent places. That takes me exactly to chapter 4. 4.5. And I have this little image here, and I want to select by color range. Select color range. I'm going to make sure that, I don't know, for some reason they like to give you the image button. I don't find it as helpful. I really like the selection button. And I'm going to click on the white background, boom. And that shows me exactly what's been selected. And remember, white is what's selected at this point. I'm going to click on invert to select the, I don't know, the teapot. Okay? Click on OK. I don't even have to worry about the fuzziness. The fuzziness on the picture is 0. But the contrast between the subject that I'm selecting and the background is so intense that fuzziness of 150 doesn't really bother my selection at all. So this is good enough for me. I'm going to click, make sure that you're on the move tool. I'm going to move this over to the table. Boom. And we're going to put it as figure 21, which is on the top left corner of the table. They are using the guides, so the bottom of this rests over here, and like this, boom, something like that. Okay, so you're nesting your image on this corner here, right here. They want us to rename this layer teapot. Press enter, and they want us to defringe this layer, matting, the fringe. We want to defringe this by 2 pixels, not just 1. Boom, and you should see the white disappearing around your object. Any questions? No? Any questions? See none, hear none, move on. They tell us to close 4.5. Okay? I'm going to move on now, and we're going to select using magic wand and quick selection. So again, it's a combination. It's kind of interesting here. I like when they do combinations because it shows you a lot of what Photoshop is about. So Control O, I'm going to open 4.6, and I have a kitchen table here. I'm going to zoom in, Control 0 to bring it in, and we're going to go to Magic Wand tool, W. This is the quick selection. Shift W, and moves back to me to the Magic Wand tool. Okay, so W and Shift W cycles the tools around. It's faster, easier. As you get used to using the tools, pay attention to what the icons look like, and it'll be a quick visual tool for, clue for you. So anyways, we're going to move on to change the settings to reflect this. This is figure 22 on page 419. We want to be making a new selection. The tolerance is going to be 50. Anti-alias. I don't want a contiguous selection. And then we're going to click anywhere knife blade. Knife blade. Boop. Did. Selects the knife blade. We're going to go to the quick selection tools. So Shift W. Switch down. And we want to click the add selection button. Okay? So look at this. Right now mine's automatically selected. Make sure yours is as well. From now on, without any keyboard modifier, I can just click on the image and drag to add more stuff. So we're going to click and drag here. Boom, boom. You need to click and drag on the quick selection tool. And now you have this selection. So you should have a knife blade selected and also the knife handle. You selected the blade with the magic wand selection, and then you included the blade selection to the previous selection using the quick selection tool. Again, we're going to press V for the move tool. I'm going to move this guy to the table and drop it in there. On page 420, we are going to be flipping this selection. So we're going to go to Edit, Transform, Edit, Transform, and we're going to flip horizontally. So flipping horizontally is going to, I'm not going to do it right now, but it's going to move this, flip this knife so that the point of the knife is going to be pointing here, and the handle, the end of the handle is going to be pointing the opposite side. Okay, so it's flipping horizontally. So this is under Edit, and by the way, you have to have the right layer selected. Edit, Transform, flip horizontal. Boom. We're going to rename this layer Knife. Enter. We're going to defringe the knife using by 1 pixel. So image, layer, matting, defringe by 1 pixel. Click. And then we're going to drag this with a move tool so that it looks like the picture on figure 24. Something like it's not going over the cutting board there, so it's closer to the edge. I'm gonna put it right here. And remember, as it's snapping a little bit, it's kind of annoying. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to trim this precisely where you want it. Okay. We're gonna close 4/6. Boom. Any questions so far? Any problems? Any issues? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's move on. We're going to be using something, we're going to be using something very, very powerful, which is the healing brush tool. Okay, this is on page 421. So let me take a look at what we're going to actually do here. The healing brush tool basically samples similar pixels and it looks at the size of the tool tip, and tries to I don't know the English word. I think the English word is homogenize. Make it homogeneous. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how that works. Let's go and actually work below the coffee cup. We want to go. So I'm going to go below the coffee cup. Zoom tool. Whoa. I'm going to go below the coffee cup. And I have a... Was this supposed to be here before? I never noticed this. Was this here before? Is this what they want us to fix? Probably. The little ball, the little circle. Is yours have a circle on it?
Yeah, you have to fix it.
Alright, good. Okay. Bless you. Alright, so we want to see the black ink stain on the table. This is really just a black hole here. I'm going to go to the Band-Aid tool, which is the healing brush. Now remember, there are several healing brushes types. Anyways, these are all healing kind of things. But the one that you want to use is the healing brush tool. Is the plain old Band-Aid. And for the category of healing brushes is J's. Okay, so you can shift J to cycle through all the tools until you get to the one that you want. You want to make sure that your options bar settings match the ones on figure 25, which is the size of my brush is going to be 25. The mode is normal, and then sample is checked, and that's it. That's just one of a nice size here. And we're going to do on step number 3. We're going to be doing something, pressing Alt to the right of the stain, and then release, and then we're going to click the stain. Okay, so look at my screen here. Look at the tool tip. This is what's happening. on the healing brush tool and in many other tools such as the clone stamp tool, which is also very powerful, in some healing brushes you do this. In some others you don't. It depends on the tool. Okay, so look at my tooltip here. You can notice that when I hold down Alt on the keyboard, I'm not clicking anything, I'm just holding down Alt key. Boom. That pointer becomes a little crosshair. And this crosshair, when you click the mouse button, the left button, it will sample, and I just clicked, it will sample this area of the pixel's tonality. Okay? So I loaded my tool. When I mouse over to a spot that I want to heal, and I click on this black stain, click, you're going to notice that I am, oh, I'm in the wrong, I don't know, I must have missed a step here. You're supposed to be on a table layer. For some reason, I was on a knife layer last. You want to move to the table layer because this object, this image, this information here, these pixels right here, they're on the table layer, they are not on the knife layer, okay? So make sure you're on the layers panel table selected. You mouse over to the right of the stain, you hold down Alt, you sample this area, you let go, you mouse over the stain, and you're going to notice that it's bringing this sampled area to the top of my hole, and I click, and now I applied that over here. Now, if you are paying attention, you're going to see, I'm going to use this area here was the area that was healed, and I have some problems here. But this is detail at this point. People that are not paying attention, and you cannot see on my screen, but hopefully you can on yours. There is a lighter fringe in here that you don't see on my projection. Okay. So that's something that you have to watch for. This will be evidence that somebody monkeyed around with this. There are other ways of you can make this a little better and more perfect, but this is pretty close for somebody that's not watching. Okay. So I'm gonna zoom out, Control 0, boom. From far away, you really don't notice that unless you're really looking, and then I see a faint circle here. But then I'm gonna save your work. You're going to take a look at the image, and we're going to stop here. Okay? Are there any problems, any issues?